Hey everyone, welcome to the Chasing Meet Cutes podcast. I'm your host, Nicole.
And I'm your host, Trisha. Thanks for listening yet again to another episode. Today, we are going to be talking about 27 Dresses.
Such a classic.
Yeah, with Katherine Heigl and James Marsden.
Yes.
I forgot to look up what the year was. Do you know what year this movie was?
I don't.
It's had to be like 2008, 2009-ish. Maybe.
It was 2008. You know, that year. That great year for rom-coms.
Yep. Okay, before we dive in, give us a summary.
Okay.
So we can have a good starting point.
All right. Always a bridesmaid, never a bride. Jane, played by Katherine Heigl, has been in 27 weddings but never her own, until a cynical reporter, James Marsden, shakes up her world. When her sister steals the man she secretly loves, Jane finally puts herself first. With romance, humor, and a parade of awful bridesmaid dresses, 27 Dresses proves love shows up when you least expect it.
Such a good one.
It really is.
I hadn't seen it in a while since we did a little rewatch, and
this, of course, was another one we saw in theaters together.
Yep. Lots of parts I just forgot about.
Yeah.
Or there was a couple things where I'm like, I'm pretty sure that went way over my head.
Yeah, one of the jokes.
As a 17-year-old. But let's just jump right into Jane and Kevin. Obviously, we don't see Kevin for just a little bit in the very beginning, because we see Jane and... Well, I guess we do see Kevin. Yeah.
He's covering one of the weddings that she's at.
So, we see kind of Jane trying to balance two weddings on the same night that she's in as a bridesmaid. And she's just, changing outfits in the taxi. And I don't know how many times she went back and forth. But we were saying,
I would not do that.
That's too much.
I'm sorry. I would maybe go to the one wedding
and the other reception.
I would start at one.
Well, I guess if you're in it,
maybe go to the other and then come back to the original one. But I'm not going back and forth more than that. That's insane.
Especially not in New York City, where I'm gonna have to take
and even that
cab.
Is crazy. It would have to be
first of all, if I'm committing to more than one wedding, it better because it's a family member.
Yeah.
If it's just two friends, I'm gonna be like, girls, you're getting married on the same day. I can't be in two places at once.
Yeah, sorry. At that point, I would decline to be a bridesmaid in both. I'd be like, I'm just going to attend one.
Yeah, for sure.
And not attend the other.
For sure. So we see Kevin. He is attending one of these weddings because he is a writer for the New York Journal. And he covers weddings. And he basically writes, not wedding announcements, but just basically a recap of what the wedding was like.
And he's really good at it.
Very good at it. And so he notices Jane's back and forth and how she kind of looks a little frazzled at times.
Disheveled a little bit.
Yeah. And he's very just curious about
what is going on? Yeah.
So at some point during one of the receptions, she collides with... What happened? She ran into something.
During the bouquet toss, and she hit her head on the ground or something.
Yeah,
she was out.
Yeah, so he was the one who came over to check on her, ask her if she's okay. He obviously takes that opportunity to be like, "What you doing? What's going on?
What's going on?"
And she kind of explains to him the whole shtick, and. Not the whole
and she kind of downplays a little bit. She's like, this is she makes it seem completely normal that she's going back and forth between these two people's weddings. They're my really good friends. I'm, not a big deal.
Yeah. I know they would do the same for me, or they'll be there for me one day, whatever. So
but that's their meet cute, though.
That is the meet cute. Yeah. She falls, he hovers over her hey, you okay? And then, the evening ends, and the next scene is we see her at the office with her bestie.
He, takes her home, or he rides with her home in the cab, and he finds her,
oh, that's true. That's a
her,
key part.
Planner.
Her file of facts.
Yeah, whatever it's called, in the cab, she leaves it, but he decides to keep it instead of like telling the cab driver to turn around. Yeah.
And he reads it.
So
then we see her at the office, like that following Monday. And her friend, we got to look up this girl, that lady's name. That lady. The actress who plays the best friend. Because we always say she's always in that same role.
Yes, every
in 13
time.
Going on 30. What else was she in that we had recently just talked about?
Oh.
It was another older one.
Yeah.
I feel like. I can't remember.
Not the other woman. Was it a Cameron Diaz? Something with Cameron Diaz? Not the other woman, though. Oh, wait. Was it?
No.
I'm going to find out. I'm looking her up right now.
But she was just in that, like, plays the best friend role. Oh, Wedding Planner.
Oh, yeah.
Bestie.
Yeah.
She also worked at the Wedding Planner company. Anyway, so they're both at the office, and her best friend, knows that she happens to be in love with her boss, who she's like personal assistant for. And we see this moment between George, her boss,
Freaking George. Her name is Judy Greer.
Judy Greer, duh. Yes.
Yeah. Duh.
The moment that we were like, girl, yeah, that's too much. Remember when he was like, hey, did you put that? I don't even know. His voice is so like strained, but he's like, did you put the breakfast burrito on my desk? And she's like, oh yeah, I didn't. I thought you might be hungry. And he was like, that's why I love you. Thanks, Jane. That's why I love you. And she just goes, I love you too.
Like kind of
after he left. She's like, I love you too. And then Judy Greer, her bestie, just like full on slaps her across the face. Like, come on.
Which was the absolute appropriate response. Like, 100%. Girl, she come was back even to like, earth.
Yeah, I needed that or something.
Yeah.
But yeah, it's kind of then revealed just like the extent in which she knows George and really loves him. And that night, she happens to be picking her sister up from being out of town for a while. And her sister Tess, I don't know how, we just want to like just jump into it, but unless you have anything else before that part.
No, I don't.
Just tell us how Tess gets involved.
So, Jane invites Tess to this work party because she just came back into town.
She's a model,
and
by the way.
Yeah, Malin Ackerman. She invites her to this work party, and she's like, "No, I'm actually gonna have some. Like, I'm gonna go out for drinks with some of my friends instead." And Jane's like, "Wait, you don't want to come to my boring work party?" So anyway, Tess still shows up at the work party, and immediately upon entering the room or the bar where they're at, George like catches her gaze and vice versa, and they just immediately start. It's like this dramatic walk towards each other, and Jane is watching the whole thing happen from across the room, and like
because Jane was like on her way to go walk towards George, and then he gets up, and that's what caught her attention to watch.
She was like on her way to tell him how she feels because what's her name was like, you need to go tell him how you feel right now. Because she had a change of heart, I guess.
Wasn't there a moment where he was like, "Hey, that thing I put on your desk," like,
and she thought it was the flowers, but it was
she's
not.
Like, we've never had that relationship before, so like, was that okay? And she's like, "Yeah, that was okay." Like, so that's when her friend was like, "Okay, this is real life. Like, you've got to go tell him how he feels." Only to be revealed, it was not the flowers; it was the dry cleaning.
Yeah,
and the flowers were actually from Kevin. We later find out, but yes, tell us about the Tess moment.
Yeah, so Tess like kind of intercepts George from Jane, and like Jane is like having a full panic. Like you can see it all over her face, in her eyes, like she's spiraling because
go ahead
of this. And she's like, I mean, obviously the jealousy is setting in very quickly.
I think she knows that like this is just gonna be a thing because like nobody can resist Tess. Like she's gorgeous. She's a model.
Like she always gets all the guys. Like they're always like throwing themselves at her or whatever. So
So yeah, it's like you just see like the heartbreak a little bit. At first, it's just like annoyance because she doesn't really know what it's gonna be. Like even that night, she's like basically waits up for her to come home, and it's like so late, and she just like starts cleaning and reading magazines, and
yeah, it's like 3 a.m. by the time,
because she's just like paranoid that like they're still out together. Like that's not a good sign for her.
Right. Definitely was not a good sign. I mean, they get serious like very fast.
Like
I mean, immediately.
Okay, George, red flag, buddy.
Yeah.
It's George who needed to have the red flag. Okay, Tess was the one who was like starting to just fake her life between like just to appease him. Like he's this guy who like is very philanthropic. He climbs like every mountain there is to climb. He's
vegetarian.
He's a vegetarian. He supports PETA and goes to their events, and like he's very much
a soy boy.
Yeah, very much opposite of Tess. Tess is none of those things, but is willing to pretend to be those things in order to be with George because she sees what a catch he is, and they do have chemistry and whatever. So yeah, like we said, like it's fairly quick that Tess and George get engaged.
Yeah, and
this only makes Jane spiral even more.
Yeah, and like meanwhile, Kevin is like, because Kevin's the reporter. He's like trying to get Jane to like meet up with him. Like, let's have a drink.
Right.
He finally gives her pocket. What is it called? Filofax. He finally gives it back to her, and she realizes like,
I think it's that night. Yeah. That after the work party.
Yeah, like, he like finally gives it back to her, but he had penciled himself into her schedule, which is like, her schedule is crazy. And it's with all the like, different things. Like, it's just like her plans. Like, she likes to write it down, but
rewatching this, I was like, I kind of forgot that like she didn't work in the wedding industry. Like, she's not a wedding planner. She's just literally a bridesmaid, not even necessarily a maid of honor.
Yeah.
And she's putting herself at all these girls' random wedding appointments, like catering and florists and
the dress fittings
or whatever. It's like, what do you, why? You work. How are you having time to fill up your schedule? And also, like, what do you do for yourself? She's definitely a people pleaser and a giver to a fault. Like, but also she's obsessed with weddings.
Yeah, like unhealthily obsessed.
You know, her mom had passed away at some point in their life, and she just became very obsessed with her parents' wedding.
Yeah.
And it was just perfect, like where the location at the boathouse and the dress that her mom wore, and just like their parents' relationship. Just she kind of like over romanticizes it, like not to say that like that's wrong, but it quickly bled into like every area of her life. Like the girl she's just like reading bridal magazines for fun.
Yeah,
she's got wedding books on the coffee table.
Yeah, she's reading the paper every morning with
and literally clipping out all of the wedding articles that this guy's written, which at the time he's writing under a different name, so she doesn't realize that it's Kevin writing them. But yeah, she just has this weird obsession, and we later find out so does he, kind of, but in less of a not in the same way as her, but they both just have this affinity towards weddings.
Right. And I mean, all that to say, he's wanting to meet up with her because he wants to write a piece about her.
Yeah, he's
about like, what is the deal with like you being a serial bridesmaid? Like, but she kind of just like keeps declining every time until we see George propose to Tess. Which obviously sends her like into oblivion. Then she finally agrees to like officially meet up with Kevin.
Yeah. I think the moment after they get engaged, after Tess and George get engaged, when the dad actually gives Tess the mom's wedding dress, she's just like, wait, yeah, like you can just tell she's clearly upset, but she's like, no,
Yeah.
that's what mom would want. Like, you should wear it. And she's like, you can wear it too, after me or something. And she's just kind of like, I think the best way to put it is like, she clearly loves her sister,
Right.
but she's just flat out annoyed.
Yep.
With her.
Yep.
Because she really feels like she's just pulling one over on George, and obviously she's in love with George. So there's all these things. She's taking these pieces of her mom and parents' wedding that Jane has always like oogled over, which Tess knows.
Right.
And it's to the guy, for the guy that she's in love with. So she's just like, it's not a good situation.
Yeah, the whole scenario was just not good. But I did love, like, once Jane finally meets with Kevin, like, that whole montage of him coming over and he, like, sees all the bridesmaids' dresses in her closet. And he's like, wait a second, what the heck is that? And she's like, it's nothing.
That's insane, that closet.
Yeah. So she, like, tries them all on for him. And it's, like, it's really a sweet little montage that we see.
Yeah, it's super fun. All the dresses are crazy.
Like,
you know, I just want to know, like, where are you getting friends that are this vast and I don't know, like, how do you have a friend who wants to literally have an underwater wedding and also like a cowgirl? I don't even know what like some of the other ones were, just like an old like Little Bo Peep style.
Yeah, it reminded me of Easter Parade when I saw those ones. But I wrote down one thing he said about that she wants a wedding and not a marriage, because he kind of realizes her obsession. He sees some of his articles, I think, in her apartment, and I don't think he like meant it as like a crazy dig at her, but he was just like kind of thinking, like maybe saying it jokingly, but a little serious, you know,
because
there's a little truth behind every just kidding,
right,
kind of thing. But I think that kind of like really struck a nerve with her, because like she knew there was some truth to that.
Definitely. I mean, again, you look around at her house and everything, it screams wedding, and you're like, you're not even in a relationship with somebody.
Yeah.
But and she's definitely one of those girls that knows exactly the details of like what she wants her wedding to be.
Yeah.
And like some girls are just wired like that, I guess. I don't know. Like my idea of what my future wedding will be like has changed so often.
Yeah.
And I don't know. I just don't think I've had like ever since I was a little girl, I always wanted my wedding to be like blah blah blah.
And it's not like you're fixating on like one thing.
No,
or
are you kidding?
Detail.
I'm like, I need to even find somebody before I can even think about a wedding. Are you kidding?
And I used to want a wedding, and now I'm like, I think I'm gonna not do that.
Yeah,
like I'm probably gonna elope.
Do it. I'll support it.
Yeah, the right way.
Yeah, I'll be there as your witness
for sure
for the marriage license.
Yeah, exactly.
Anyways, but Jane is the planner. She knows exactly what she wants. She wants a wedding, and yeah, he sees that. And I guess like at some moment they get like very perturbed with one another. She makes a comment to him like, "Oh, I bet you got married and your wife," because she kind of sees that he's a cynic a little bit about weddings.
Yeah,
and
I think it was that same
night. Yeah, because he had made a dig the day at her, and she kind of fired back. Was like, "Well, I bet it's because like you were probably married and your wife left you." And she's like, "Bingo," or he was like, "Bingo. Yep, got married.
Yeah,
she left me."
Yep, and then she felt bad for saying that, but
yeah. So they kind of left on like annoyed terms with one another.
Yeah,
kind of, at least her for him.
Yeah,
but he's still invested in getting this story at this point.
Well, and he's not only is he like wanting to get the story about Jane, but he's also covering Tess and George's wedding.
Correct.
So like he's gonna be involved regardless, and
he also is trying to like grow his career like from the very beginning before he really has any connection to Jane. he's constantly asking, like, what I'm guessing to be, like, the editor, like, can I please just get out of the
I want to
wedding
do
columns?
something
Like,
else.
I want to write bigger stories or better things. And she's just kind of like, okay, you have one shot. You get to do this. Like, you better make it good. So he's also, like, thinking of that as, like, this is my one opportunity to potentially, like, grow my career. Not that he ever was, like, undermining Jane or, like, out to get her. But, like, I just think when he started this, he obviously didn't know what the relationship was going to turn into.
Right. Yeah, definitely.
Because he had so much footage, like pictures. Like, he was taking pictures of her in all these dresses. Dress,
yeah.
So the next scene we see is Jane having dinner with George because Tess was unable to make the catering dinner.
Yeah.
And she's kind of like living vicariously through the situation.
Yeah, it's like kind of, she's like totally just smitten, laughing, giggling, kind of flirty, like, and I don't know if, like,
George is just,
I know,
he's not all that,
especially like when Kevin, like, hello.
No, I know, exactly.
But I don't know, she's sitting at this table and it's like very obvious that she's so into him, like, which we knew that, it's not like a surprise, but I'm like also wondering, like, was she using this opportunity, like, to, like, kind of get herself in? I don't know. I feel like it could be interpreted either way, but
because I can't remember if it was like something he said. How do you remember that? Or I can't believe you remembered that.
Yeah.
And, like, it's just like she wants him to realize. And this is how she was before Tess. Like,
yes.
She's dropping all these little hints and doing all these little things for him in an attempt to, like, win his affection.
Yeah. This is like the classic example of unrequited love.
Yeah. And during this dinner, and George is kind of, like, oblivious the entire time. Like, he just thinks she's just Jane, such as a nice, you'll do anything for anyone. Like, you're always there for me. You're so good. That's why I love ya.
Ugh.
And she's just, like, lapping up whatever.
Oh, yeah.
You know, kind words he says to her. But anyways, they're having dinner and Kevin enters the scene. And she's just, like, immediately annoyed. Like, what are you doing here?
Yeah.
And he's like, what do you mean? I'm here to chat. You know, he's covering the wedding. Yep. And
you can tell because he kind of, before she even notices that he's there, he's seeing this whole interaction between the two of them, and he's like, it clicks.
Yep.
It clicked for him. Oh my gosh, she's in love with George.
Yep.
And then they're right. I don't know where they're going to do, like, the registry stuff, I think, together. And he calls her on it in the car.
Yeah.
Like,
she's peeved.
Yeah, she is.
And it's, of course, pouring down rain when this is happening. And because she's so upset with him and annoyed by him, she starts driving
like a maniac.
Like an idiot. I mean,
we're from Florida, so we deal with the rain all the time and driving, but, like,
I'm
on
sorry.
what planet?
Yeah, nobody's doing that.
Yeah.
Nobody's doing. I don't care how mad
At night,
you are.
Especially,
and during the rain, in an area you are not familiar with. We were just like, what is she doing? And he's like, you're gonna hydroplane, stop. And she's like, nah. And then she starts hydroplaning, and she's just turning that wheel like, I don't know.
She's trying to correct, but you can't.
So they obviously end up off the side of the road, and it's raining and muddy, so their tires are just spinning and they're stuck. So they end up not hashing it out, but just basically being like, I don't know. She swears like, no, I'm not in love with him. Like, blah, blah, blah. He's kind of like, okay.
Anybody with half of a brain could see that you are.
Right. And so they enter this bar to kind of make a phone call.
Wait out the storm.
Wait it out. And this is when, like, the drinks are flowing.
Oh, yeah. They're just throwing them back.
Oh, yeah. And everybody in the bar is just like, it's a packed bar for a rainy night in the middle of nowhere. And they're just loosening up and they're talking with one another, and they start talking about what their favorite moments of weddings are. He actually is like says as a confession, like, actually my favorite part of a wedding is like not when the bride walks down, but it's to look at the poor sap who's waiting for her and just like watching the groom's reaction. And she's just looking, again, she's intoxicated, but she's giving him this look and she's like, no, that's my favorite part. Are you serious? Like, blah, blah, blah. And as they're talking, Benny and the Jets starts playing, and they just give in.
Yeah.
They give in to Benny and the Jets, and before you know it,
as you should,
they're both up on the bar just
scream singing. Benny and the Jets.
Benny.
We became like so obsessed with this song after seeing this movie.
We did. Like, literally, my sister was like, are you guys going to talk about 27 Dresses?
Like, you have to, because Benny and the Jets. Because she probably had to ride in the back seat of the car while we also scream sang it.
She probably scream sang it with us.
True.
But, yeah, the funny part was, though, they were, like, trying to, like, sing the lyric, or she started singing the lyrics.
Oh, yeah, that was so funny.
Those are not the lyrics. And then he sings a verse, and it's also wrong.
Not the right.
And
I think that's why we loved it so much, because we're like, what are the lyrics?
Yeah, like, we literally had to look them up. But great song. I think that just like that moment is iconic for this movie for so many people. They just like think of. But yeah, so like eventually the song ends and he helps her get down off the bar, and in the moment, in like a serious moment of calm after the crazy, he just looks at her and says, like, I cried like a baby at the Keller wedding, which is the wedding where he first saw her. And then she just like kisses him. Yeah. And then it pans to them like back in the car, and they're just like, you know, getting hot and heavy. They
hooking up in the car.
Things.
Yeah, and then the next morning, like, they go to some diner, you know, probably to try and help cure their hangovers. And he like goes to get some coffee from God knows where, but he comes back to the car and she's like, just so you know, like, that's not me. Like, I don't do that.
I never do this.
I never do this. It's not me. I don't do that. Whatever. And she kept repeating it. And he's like, I know, you also were repeating it like all night last night. So it's kind of like a walk of shame without an actual physical walk. But anyway, they end up at a diner. And these people from the night before are like coming up to the table like, oh, it's Benny and the Jets. Like, this one guy just comes up singing it. And then some other girl was like, hey, like, you're that girl, right? And she's like, yeah, I'm Benny and he's the Jets or whatever. And she's like, no, from like the article or something. And she's completely caught off guard.
So was he.
By this. And he was too, because he didn't want this article to be published yet. He wasn't ready. And he kind of wanted to tweak how it was being presented anyway.
Right.
So this article comes out about her, you know, being a serial bridesmaid, and kind of paints her in a not so great light, which is obviously devastating to her.
Right. And it's also like on the front page of the section, and it's like, she said, you got 24 inches. Like, that's like two like full pages,
2 full pages.
Essentially. And because this thing was like, nobody reads that section. Like, nobody's going to know. It's like, everybody's going to know.
Yeah.
Okay. So yeah, she's obviously pissed, and this is like the major conflict of the movie.
Yeah.
She's really mad at him. He feels bad. He storms into the paper and really was like, why did you post that? I wasn't ready.
I asked you like, not to.
Yeah,
like,
she's
and
like,
she also told him like, okay, I won't. And then just like made a decision as a boss can and did to publish it before he was ready. But
I think this is kind of a turning point for Jane, where like she just goes literally crazy. Like, she's already been spiraling at this point, but that just like pushes her over the edge. And like every circumstance surrounding Tess and George's wedding just like pisses her off to the nth degree. Like, she walks into the dress fitting for her. And again, up until now, it's like, oh, Jane will do anything for anyone. She'll go above and beyond for literally anyone, especially when it comes to weddings. Like, she gets stuff done. She knows the connections. She's just Mrs. Nice Jane. Pushover, really.
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
Well, not anymore.
She has zero boundaries.
Yeah. So she walks into the dress fitting, and Tess puts on this dress, and she's like, wait, I thought you were wearing Mom's dress. She's like, oh, this is. Yeah, we had it.
She's like, well, parts of it.
We just took this little part here and that little part here, and the seamstress brings in this pile of scraps. That is what her. First of all, I'm like, there's no way. Where's the rest of the dress?
Yeah.
But that just sends Jane. Like, she's just like, this is crazy. Yeah. Why would you do this to Mom's dress? Like, I can't believe you. You're selfish. She just kind of goes off on her. And ultimately storms out. And yeah, I mean, the next thing I had was just the rehearsal dinner scene. Yeah, because there's still just not really much between her and Kevin at this point. There's still just that separation of the conflict.
Yeah, the rehearsal dinner is a disaster. Because, like you said, Jane is just like, she's just seeing red. Like, there's no keeping these emotions in anymore. Like, she takes it upon herself to expose Tess for all the lies she's told George about who she is as a person, as far as like being a vegetarian, liking dogs,
his little like the little brother or whatever he has.
Yeah.
Like how she's hired him secretly to start cleaning the apartment.
Yeah, and he's
under the guise of like, oh, I'll help you start your cleaning business one day. Yeah. And he's also like a Latino. And there's like that, I think, as an undercut type storyline there. But yeah, she just exposes her. Yeah, so in front of everybody. She
sabotages the whole thing. And even her one friend, I don't know her name in the movie, but now I'm like, Judy Greer, whoever her character is, she even like goes up there after and is like, okay, like,
yeah, she's trying
sorry. To fix it, but then she goes to Jane and is like, what are you doing? Like, that was not the way to do that. Right. Not in front of all these people. Like, you could have just said it to your sister alone in private. Like,
or to George. Even if you said all the same things about Tess exposing her, like, you could have went to George.
Yeah, even. Don't like humiliate them in front of everybody the night before their wedding is supposed to be, or whenever a rehearsal dinner traditionally is. But and she's like, the fact that I'm saying that, like, and she's like, I'm crazy, and the fact that I'm telling you that this was bad, that's bad.
Yeah, I wrote down it was humilifying for Tess.
Humilifying for sure.
Yeah, and for those of you that are maybe wondering, yes, it is a word that we made up. Yeah, we have a perfect combo of being humiliated. Now I don't even know. Humilified,
horrifying, and humiliated. Yeah, mashed together.
So Kevin, when she storms out, and after Judy Greer talks to her, Kevin happens to be there, and she's like, what are you doing here? Like, I don't need to see you, blah, blah, blah. Yeah. He's like, listen, I get it. I'm sorry. That's not the way I intended that to go down. Like, he's trying to, like, explain his way out of it, but also, like, acknowledge, like, why she's justified in feeling the way she is. Yeah. But he's like, I also want to say, though, like, I was here and I heard what you said, and, like, I think it was great, like, what you said, because for the first time you actually, like, stood up and like did something and said something instead of just like being the little
and he pushover. He said he came because he knew it would be hard for her to have to be even be at the rehearsal dinner in general. Yeah, would be hard. So that's why he showed up, which I thought was very sweet.
Very sweet. And he said something at the end that I wrote down. He said, "I think you deserve more than what you've settled for. You deserve to be taken care of some of the time." Because that's the thing. It's like she doesn't need help. She doesn't need to be taken care of. Like, she's got this. It's that whole like independent woman.
Like
I don't
hyper
need no man.
independent. Yeah.
But also, it's like she's obviously has that desire. She wants a wedding, but that kind of then supports his claim earlier of like, you just want a wedding, you don't want a marriage.
Right, exactly.
Like, you don't actually want anybody's input or help or anything. And like, it's okay to ask for help sometimes.
Yeah.
So I just thought it was cute. And he was also just like understanding that like, this isn't the moment that they're going to like get back together or have a thing. Not that they were ever together, but like,
yeah,
he's just recognized that like, she's still hurt. She's still processing the George and Tess thing. And he walks away after that. He says his piece. He says he cares about her. And then he walks away.
And he gives her a new phone.
So sweet.
A phone, what was like a BlackBerry or Palm Pilot
situation.
So that she can have a digital file of facts, basically.
For a new start or something, like he said.
Yeah, and I think he penciled himself in there. Isn't that how she knew where he was?
Yeah.
He was at a wedding covering it. And she goes there.
But before that, when she's at the office, and George.
Oh, freaking George. He's such a scumbag.
Bro,
yeah,
go climb a freaking rock or mountain.
Yeah. He goes back to the office. Jane goes there to apologize, I guess. And I don't even know what the comment, like, he was giving her the eyes, and like he was trying to find some files on his desktop and couldn't find them or some crap like that. So she goes and is like kind of bent over trying to find them, and he makes a comment, and I don't know, she goes over there and he kisses her, and I'm like, what is your problem? He makes a comment,
something like, I don't know, both of us like kind of missed exactly what it was when we asked each other, what did he say? It was something to the extent of like, I can always count on you, or like, you're always there for me, and I missed this all along, or like, you've always been there. Something something like that. Kiss.
But then she like decides, let's try again. Let's try the kiss again, because I didn't really feel like anything the first time.
Right.
And so they kiss again, and she's like, nope, there's nothing there. Which is like kind of annoying, because like, you've been madly in love with this man, and now all of a sudden you're like, nope, I don't feel it.
Also, like, your sister just like ended her engagement like the day
5
before.
seconds ago.
So George,
you're a snake and a
like,
scumbag.
just chill for a sec.
Yeah,
it's not the romantic grand gesture you think it is.
No,
but they don't have a connection anyways. She said, I didn't feel anything, did you? He was like, no, not really. And she's like, it's not supposed to feel like that when you're with the person that you love. And as she's saying that, she's remembering the way she felt when she kissed Kevin.
Yeah.
Which then reminds her of
that he's at this wedding.
Yeah.
So she goes to this wedding with her little cab driver that she's had this whole time.
Yeah.
Anyway, she basically crashes this wedding, takes the mic, and gives this whole speech to Kevin. What?
I just broke my pencil.
Oh, sad day.
I dropped my pencil.
Sad day, my Shayla.
That's the worst.
That is the worst.
These things are fragile as crap. I'll tell you that right now. The Papermate clear point pencils,
the one we all wanted when we were in school.
Yeah, but my mom would never buy them because they were expensive.
These were the fancy ones.
Guess what? I have my own money now, Mom. I can buy whatever pencil I want.
Big girl
but
money.
I will say, these clips be breaking. I have several with broken clips.
100%. Anyway, so she crashes this wedding and gives this whole speech to Kevin. And basically, like, they kiss and make up. Yeah. And
first of all, the bride for that wedding is obsessed with her.
Obsessed.
She knows her from the article.
Yeah.
She's like, tell me everything. Okay, come over here. Like, even like during the speech, the bride is like right behind her. When she walks towards Kevin, the bride's like right there behind her. It's like, where she is like,
girl,
I don't even care if it's my wedding or not. This is all about you. This is your moment.
Yeah. But then it kind of just like fast forwards.
Yeah, 1 year later.
1 year later to their wedding.
Yeah.
Which is very classic beach wedding beautiful, undetermined if she had any of her mom's dress in her own dress. But anyway, and then it pans to all of her brides that she was a bridesmaid for in their respective bridesmaids' dresses.
She put on her 28th dress.
Yes, her 28th dress was her wedding dress.
Yep. And we see George and Tess clearly like see each other for what we're guessing is like the first time.
Yeah, they like reintroduce themselves to each other.
Yeah.
So
we can only guess that they're gonna like just get back together as the real version of Tess.
Yeah. But whatever, that's fine. But
they do have a sweet, final moment. Jane and Kevin, they're officially married, and I forget the comment that he like asks her, like, is this everything like you thought it would be or dreamed it would be? And she was like, no. And he at first was like,
oh crap.
Like, great. And she's like, it's even more.
Yeah.
So much more.
Super cute.
Very cute. Classic rom-com. Like you said, that 2008 sweet spot, the early to mid 2000s.
So good.
They just knew how to do it. I mean, they were also just banging them out.
Yeah. Like,
one after another.
There was never a break, I feel like.
I don't understand, like, why that stopped.
I know. You can't tell me that they weren't, like, popular enough or they didn't, like, make enough money.
I mean, I really think, and it's like, I think it's like a common knowledge now, but it's just like the superhero movies just kind of like took over the theater,
which is so annoying because like everything now is like CGI. Like nothing is just like a normal movie like this. Not nothing, but it's kind of rare to see. It's like everything is kind of this just like grandiose, like,
well, I think the last one that was like big in the theaters was the Anyone But You. That it was like such a big deal that
was in theater.
Yeah, it was a big deal because it was like a rom-com in theaters.
That's right.
And it was the first time in however long that people were actually like excited about it. Of course, they marketed it to be that, and it was cute, and we'll talk about that next season. But yeah, even since then, I mean, we're not even going to talk about It Ends With Us, and that wasn't a rom-com anyways, but we haven't seen
nothing.
Anything.
Not in theater. We get a few
Netflix
stuff here and there.
But it's hard to know. It's hard to keep up with what's on streaming. Because, like,
I know.
We'll
across
scroll past and be like,
platforms we have.
Right. Or you'll be like, wait, did we see this one? Oh, yeah. Or we're spending so much time watching the worst clips that they're trying to call a trailer.
Oh, my gosh.
And you're like, okay, that gives me nothing about
no
the
information
synopsis of this movie. So it's just not as, like, I don't know. And we've talked so many times so far about the trailer guy that we love.
Yes.
And like that truly just like got you excited about whatever the movie was too. Just like
and at least it gave you like a good synopsis of what the movie was going to be about.
It gave you the full rundown.
Now we get the worst clips possible.
Well, anyway, there was also like this core group of actors that I feel like were in all these movies that like as soon as you would see like Cameron Diaz, it was like I'm there.
Going to see it. Yeah.
Or like Matthew
Sandra
McConaughey, Sarah Jessica Parker, like whoever your person was, like just about any weekend there was probably going to be at least one movie in theaters that you're like, oh, I want to see that. And then while you're there, you saw 3 trailers that you're like, I want to see that. I want to see that.
Christmas Day.
Exactly.
Yeah.
It's just not the same. And it is kind of sad. Like,
it is.
The movie theater magic is not what it used to be. But, I guess things change. But, that's why we're doing this too. It's just like we want to bring some of those movies that may have been forgotten back to life.
Yeah.
And
just chit chat about them.
Talk about them. And just chit chat about them. But, guys, that's the end of this episode. Thanks for listening I am rewind.
What?
Thanks.
I think she just had a stroke. Oh my gosh.
My brain just jumps ahead of the words sometimes.
It do.
I don't even know what I was going to say. Thanks to listening. I can't. Take it over.
Thanks for listening again Oh my word.
Just thanks. Just thanks,
Just
guys.
thanks, guys.
Thanks
Until
for listening
next
to
time.
all of the episodes.
Yeah. Until next time.
Yeah.
See you later.
Catch up with you
Arrivederci.
later. Bye.